Hello everybody, Jen from Scrapping Under the Influence. So this week for my project for Doodlebug Design, I took the card and envelopes assortment for the brand new Oh What Fun collection and the dies and stamps to make a set of cards using the entire card and envelope kit. So we have got a shaker. We've got two stamps, or two cards where we're going to stamp and color. We've got the die cut trees, and we did a little ink blending to kind of match the colors of the card. We did the Santa, and then we've got one very simple one just using the puffy words and puffy icons. So this is going to be more of a process video with, unfortunately, a voiceover because I was not sure how I was going to put everything together, so I just kind of recorded as I went. So I apologize in advance for the voiceover, but we're going to go through how to assemble all of these cards. So let's get to it. Okay, we're fixing the audio because it did not record. All right, first up, very easy first card. We're going to take that blue scalloped card base and we're going to take a piece of lily white candy stripe sprinkle cardstock and this Doodle Cuts Borders and Edges set from 2020. I've had this one in my stash for quite some time, and it does full-on borders or it just does edges. And this scalloped edge piece is about the same spacing and size as the scalloped edge on the card itself. So I'm just going to go ahead and tape that on there with some low-tack tape and run that through my die cut machine. And then you get it onto the card base, and then we are going to use our puffy icons and our puffy words to decorate this one. So let's go ahead and get this glued on here, and we'll decide which pieces we're going to use on this one. So, yep, see, that lines up quite nicely. It's not an exact match, but it's close enough that it looks okay. It's not going to bother me that it's not exact. We'll go ahead and open this up, and I think we're going to go ahead and use the little train cars on this. We're going to but I'm going to start with my words on this one. So we are going to use "'Tis the Season." So I'm going to use "'tis" and "the" from the puffy words. And this was actually the last card I made, but when I was editing this, I was kind of putting them in the order of like easiest to most difficult. So we're going to do "'Tis the Holly Jolly Season." So the holly and jolly letters, I'm going to kind of put those kind of skewed back and forth there right under "'tis the," and then jolly I'm going to offset the other direction. So I'm starting about midpoint in the card and then going across with the rest of those letters. And then we'll go ahead and add our little train pieces from the puffy icons. I love the puffy icons. They are one of my favorite embellishments, but they're also one I tend to hoard because I just love them. Okay, so we're going to use that one and the little green car. I'm going to skip the big pink gingerbread car because I can't get all of them on there, and I would rather have that little elf and the presents in the tree instead of the little pink car with the gingerbread men in it. So we're just doing those in the exact order that they are on the sheet. You could absolutely change that up if you wanted to. And then we're going to add "season" down there below. Sorry, I'm out of frame just a little bit there. And then just some of those little dots and things from the puffy icons. There's a whole bunch of like little tiny dots on there. So I'm just going to kind of randomly put some of those around and add a little tree, or did I decide not to add the tree? Did not add the tree. Thought about it, changed my mind. Back to the dots. So we'll go ahead and add those little dots, and then this one will be finished. Okay, so for this next one, we are going to use the Happy Holidays Doodle Cuts standalone die set. So I went ahead off camera and I cut all of my pieces. I'm going to put my little black strip, and I'm sure there was actually a die for this and I mistook it for something else. It's absolutely fine. It doesn't matter. That is just a little scrap of black cardstock back behind the eyes. And I'm going to take the base part for the little face. We're going to go ahead and put that little red piece on for the hat first, and that is from the Candy Stripe Sprinkle in Ladybug. So this all of these cards, I used the coordinating petite prints from the Oh What Fun collection, and just to show you don't have to have the pattern papers. You can use petite prints and still get a super fun, super cute cards. So right here, I'm trying to kind of figure out how best to line up the little face and the little beard and get everything placed correctly. So I initially tried attaching the face to the back of the beard. It wasn't quite right. I thankfully only used like a tiny, tiny bit of glue. So I was able to pop that back off, and ended up just putting glue on the back of that and kind of trying to hold the two pieces together to get it positioned. And that actually seemed to work. And here's where I did not do this correctly. I went ahead and I put the little top part of the hat on. You want to do that after you put the beard on. And I did pop up the beard, and then the two little pieces that come up on the top that go up under the edge of that hat, I did get some glue on those and was able to tuck them under the hat. I apparently did not do a very good job gluing that down. About here's where I realized those should have gone underneath, but I was able to pop it up just enough to tuck them under, and it was fine. Next, we're going to put the little mustache on, and then his little red nose. As soon as I find it here somewhere, there's a little nose, and there's a little tiny, tiny smile. So yeah, you can see me struggling with this like I do with literally every time there's tiny pieces. It's just, it doesn't work for me. It's the nails. But I hate recording without the nails because I just think it looks terrible, or at least my hands look terrible. Some people, they don't. My nails are just a mess without the acrylics on there. So we're just going to learn how to craft with it. All right, so then I'm going to take the little holly leaves and get the berries attached. So there's a 3-piece berry, and then there's 2 small circles that I cut in a couple of different colors there to go with them, to put that on there. And I'm going to pop this little guy up too. And that goes up there on the top of the hat. Okay. For this one, we're using the biggest of the card bases, and I'm going to take the 2 little Happy Holidays sentiment pieces from the die set. I did cut those in Limeade Candy Stripe Sprinkle as well. And I'm going to put those down on the inside of the card. They are very delicate. I didn't want to try and get them positioned right on the front, so I'm putting them in the inside, which actually works just fine. It's a cute little addition. So he's going to go on the front, and we are going to put this, cut a mat from that same petite print. This is the gingham linen in Limeade. And we are going to put that down, and then we're going to put our little Santa right there on the top. And we are going to put a little strip of white cardstock across there to put our sentiment on. So I'm cutting that to the same width as my petite print, and then I'm cutting it, I believe, 1.25 inches high. And I am going to ink blend on this just a little bit, just to soften those edges so it's not just, you know, boom, here's a white strip of cardstock. So I'm going to grab my Kiwi Tailored Expressions ink and go ahead and ink blend my edges on this. Tailored Expressions inks honestly match really well with almost every Doodlebug pattern I've ever tried to match them up to. So if you like to ink blend, or if you are one that inks your pattern, your papers and stuff on your projects, I never ink Doodlebug, other stuff occasionally, but because I just don't think I need it. But I know there are people that ink everything, and if you're one of those, great. I get halfway through a project and forget I'm inking. So we are going to put the little Dear Santa puffy words on here. And I'm going to glue this down across the top. And my glue decided to clog. And this did end up going down kind of crooked. And by the time I realized it was crooked, it was dry. So it was kind of stuck. But you know what? It's okay. It's handmade. It's fine. Okay, and then we are going to put the little I believe sentiment down there at the bottom, and there is our next card. Okay, for card number 3, we are going to use the Merry Christmas Doodle Cuts standalone dies. We're going to use the trees, and there are 3 trees that have a trunk, and there are 3 that do not. I used the ones that do not. I took the sentiment, I cut it 4 times out of white 100-pound cardstock and glued those layers together to give them dimension. And then I'm gluing the red piece that I cut on top, and that's going to be my sentiment on the card. So we're just going to go ahead and glue those on there. And again, that's the Ladybug Candy Stripe Sprinkle. It is honestly at this point probably my favorite petite print. Because it's just the best. I don't know. It works for so many things. And the dots aren't like overpowering. Okay, so I've got my trees kind of where I want them, the basic order. So I'm picking those up with washi tape so that I don't have to figure out the order I want the trees going in. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink blend. I'm going to take some this is like Post-it tape. And we're going to mask off the top just so I don't accidentally blend onto the back side of my card. And I am just going to very lightly, very kind of messy, like not perfect blend the colors for the trees that will be behind the trees. So you'll kind of have that rainbow going on behind the trees when those are on there, just like instead of a shadow, but like in color, if that makes sense. Okay, so I've got my yellow, I've got my kind of blue, I've got, this is my pink. This one is the one that kind of ends up getting lost in the middle there, which is fine. This was, I believe, Cupcake. Yeah, Cupcake Tailored Expressions. And then Dill Pickle, which is a very vibrant green. It is just, I love this green. It's amazing. Kind of doing that. So, you know, we've kind of got a little bit of a mess going there, but it's okay because we are going to put those trees over the top of that. So down here at the bottom, I am taking watermelon ink and I am ink blending a little more heavy because this is where my sentiment's going to go. And I want that I want that contrast down across the bottom. So now we're going to deal with our trees. So I'm just going to peel them off of my washi tape one at a time and glue them down. I'm trying to make sure I get like different patterns so they're not same patterns next to each other. And you'll see here in a minute, I do not succeed with my pink and my blue, but it's okay. It's just fine. So there's my blue. I should have turned it over to the polka dot side and I didn't. That's going to slide down a little bit. So as I said, there are 3 trees with trunks. There are 3 without. I did use the ones without. And there are 3 different kind of styles and sizes, as you can see. And I just randomly, in fact, I cut them out of both with the trunks and without, decided not to use the trunks, the ones with the trunks. And I just stuck those in the envelope with my dies when I put it away. So I've got them done, ready to go for another project later on. Okay, so we've got that. I'm going to take another piece of a strip of 100-pound white cardstock, and I'm going to cut this to about... So I cut a 3/8 of an inch piece here, and then I ended up coming back and cutting it a little bit bigger because that fit the sentiment. But we're going to cut a piece of another piece of the white that is 1/2 inch, and then I'm going to cut a 3/8 inch piece of the red petite print you saw on screen there for just a second. And we're going to layer these all together at the bottom of the card. Okay, so we are going to take our white strip, and I didn't worry about cutting it to length because it's a card. I can very easily pick it up, turn it over, and snip off the extra length with my scissors. So I'm doing this across the bottom of the trees, so the bottoms of the trees are not all at different like weird heights. The tops of the trees can be different heights, that's fine, but I don't want the bottoms of the trees to be at different spacing. So that kind of hides that. We're going to snip this one off. So this is the plaid polka dot in petite print in Ladybug that I'm using here. And I'm going to go ahead and glue my sentiment to the other 3/8 inch white strip. And then I'm going to trim it off so that the whole thing isn't on the white, just a little bit there in the middle. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put that down. I'm not popping it up or anything because it's got dimension already. And there is that. Okay, card number 4, we are going to stamp out for card number 4 and card number 5 at the same time, and we're going to color everything at the same time. So I am stamping out the gingerbread men, the ornaments, and Santa in the chimney. I'm not stamping out sentiments or anything, or any of the snowflakes, because I'm going to use, again, the puffy words for this. So, new stamp, sometimes you have to ink it up a couple of times. And I left my stamps in there, because I needed to stamp a second set, but we're just going to start with the one. So I am using Olo alcohol markers. I had Copics, never could quite master them years and years ago. Never could quite master them. I went through Spectrum Noir, which I learned how to use. They dry out so stinking fast, it's not even funny. And then I had the Altitude markers, which are also really good markers, but there's not enough colors. And switched over to the Olos a couple of years ago, and I love them. So I'm going in there with 3 different shades of the brown to kind of give my little gingerbread man crispy edges. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the little gingerbread man that Santa's holding up there. And then I've got 3 different shades of red, and I'm coming in with my darkest and kind of doing my shadows. And this is the point at which I realized the nib in that particular marker was loose, and I had ink like drip everywhere. Never had that happen with those markers before. I was really kind of surprised. So I'm going to stamp those again, and then we will color Santa again. All right, so I'm starting with the darkest. Actually, I'm coming in with a light gray and just kind of adding some dimension to his beard. I know on my blog post, and I think in the video description, there's a list of which markers I used. Now we're coming back in and kind of getting our shadow areas with the darkest red. I am by no means an expert at this whole alcohol marker thing. I just enjoy doing it. It's fun. And I don't know why. I realized this like well after the fact. I don't know why I colored his little gloves red instead of black. That makes no sense. None whatsoever, but that's what I did and that's what we're going to go with. All right, so we're going to just blend in that lightest red, and then I'm going to come in on his hat and do the lightest red, and I think I'm going to come back in with that mid-tone red. And anytime I'm doing this, you can see from my little scratch paper that's underneath this, you know, I've got like a swatch chart of these markers, and I still will go back every single time as I go to color something, and I'll swipe it on that scratch paper to make sure I really want to use that color before I actually start coloring. Okay, so I've got a darker gray here that I'm kind of going around the top of the chimney on the snow to give it a little bit of a sooty look. And then I'm coming in with the darkest red that I had to do the bricks on this. So you'll see here they are starting out incredibly dark. They are going to get lightened up here in just a minute, and it's one of the really cool things about the alcohol markers, which I do have an affiliate link for Olo in the description box of this video if you're at all interested. I love them. I cannot recommend them highly enough. They have a lot of videos and resources to help you learn to color with the alcohol markers, which is also awesome. So now I'm coming back in with the lightest red, and I'm going over the center of those bricks. And what that does is that lighter alcohol color lifts up and lightens up the darker color. That's the whole cool thing with these, and you know why you can blend with them and all the different techniques and looks you can get with these markers is the fact that you can do things like that with them. Okay, so then I'm going to color my gingerbread man again. And then we're going to color the little present box. I think I ended up going with a couple of shades of green on that. And I'm just kind of shading my little gingerbread man again. And then I'm going to do the present. And I didn't get like super fancy. The only one I really kind of did do the shading on really is Santa. And then of course my little gingerbread men, just because those were a fun one to do that with. And then I've got like a different green we're going to put in the middle here, or on the top of the present, I guess it was. And then the ornaments go wild. I just kind of found colors that were similar to the color palette of the paper collection and just, you know, randomly colored my ornaments with this one. So I went with like a light pink, and then I hit it with a darker pink. I mixed and matched, and you know, because I know you look at the older style ornaments and they're kind of all over the place color wise. Like there's not, you know, they're not all matchy like stuff is now, which honestly is kind of cool. I like that. So yeah, I'm just gonna go in and color in those ornaments and then die cut everything out. Okay, so we're using, this is just like a normal A2 card base out of that, the Cards and Envelopes pack. And what I'm doing here is I've got a little centering ruler, and I am trying to get this as centered as I can on the card front for this piece that's running up and down, because we are going to put this on here like it's ribbon wrapping a package, okay? So I've got that on the center there. I'm just cutting off the extra on the bottom. And then I've got a slight, these pieces were both, I believe 1 1/4. And again, same thing, putting that one up higher. And then I've got the tag that is part of the die set for the doodle cuts for the stamp set. So I did cut the little die. I added some Ladybug chunky twine to that, and we're going to put that on the kind of, you know, a little bit angled there on the front, and then we're going to put Santa on top of the tag. Like so. And then we are going to get the puffy words again. And this time I used, which ones did I use? Ho, ho, ho. I was like, what? I can't remember. I literally just did these the other day. And I don't know what I did. Okay, so we're going to do ho, ho. And then my other ho, that sounds so weird to say, I'm so sorry, is going to go to the side there. And then we're going to do this little Merry Christmas banner at the bottom. And there is the next card. Okay, for this one, we're just using the other pieces that I colored, just doing a green matte, 1/4 inch smaller than the front of the card. And what I did here, because the Christmas on this is so perfectly spaced and aligned and everything, I cut it out of the puffy words and I pulled part of the backing off of half of it so I could get that bottom attached and then work that other piece of the backing out so it is still perfect. And it worked beautifully. So that's going to go in the middle, and then we are going to tuck all of our little gingerbread men back in behind, and I'm going to pop these guys up, a couple of them, and then all of our little ornaments, I'm just taking some Ladybug doodle twine and running that across, and then we're going to hang our ornaments on this. So you'll see those two, the blue and the pink, kind of stick up a little bit higher than I would have liked. So because I hadn't cut my string off yet, I'm just running that through, and there's your card. Okay, last but not least, we are doing the Deck the Halls set. This is the one with the little shaker tree. So I have cut the tree out of the petite print and acetate and getting overly aggressive, putting the magnet on there to let it dry. But I am going to take a white panel and I'm going to ink blend the edges with some pink. And just very lightly, and that is going to go on the card base. First we're going to put down a bumblebee dot stripe petite print mat, and then the white that we have ink blended on, and then we're going to go ahead and assemble our tree. So I'm going to clean up my acetate. You can do that with rubbing alcohol. It'll get off most stuff that you get on your acetate by mistake. So these are 1/8 inch foam strips. I'm only going to do one layer of these, so it's going to be a fairly shallow shaker, but that's just because it's small enough. I don't know that we need to do it any deeper than that. So I'm just outlining the different sections of the tree. You could absolutely do these all as like just one piece instead of like 3 separate little wells for your shaker stuff. But I did want to separate them. I don't know why. It ultimately didn't matter. So I'm just putting a couple of the peppermints in there and then adding the Christmas confetti shakers in there as well. And then don't ask me why I had the worst time getting the backing off of this foam tape. It just was sticking, and then I don't know. And I kept having to like fix my shaker fill because it kept like popping up and sticking to the foam tape. I don't know. I was having a day, clearly, at this point. Okay, so we've got all of that, got everything kind of where it needs to go. And we'll go ahead and drop that backing down on there. So I ended up not cutting the little garland piece or the ornament pieces, which I meant to just use the normal round sprinkles for the ornament pieces that are on there, and completely spaced off. Didn't realize until after I had recorded, photographed, written the blog post, done all the things, and then I realized, oh, that I should have done that. It's okay. It's fine. So we're going to pop up all of these little trees and glue the present down there in the middle. I'm going to pop up all these little presents that are also part of the die set. And I had that one needed a little bit more foam tape. So I had to kind of just stick it underneath the edge there, which worked. Okay. And then we are going to grab our puffy words and go ahead and put Merry and Bright on here for our sentiment, and this one is done. Thank you for watching. I'll be back again soon with another project with this amazing collection.